Hello and welcome from the Institute of Korean Studies at Freie University Berlin for today's lectures. My name is Dr. Ho-jae Kang. I am a research professor at the Institute of Korean Studies. My major in research topic and teaching topic is North Korea, especially history of science, technology, and policy in North Korea. It's my pleasure to be hosting this event. Today's lecture is the first in a series of special lectures on North Korea in the summer semester of 2022, organized and hosted within the framework of the Korean Europe Center, a joint project by our institute and KDI School of Public Policy and Management in Sejong City. With the title of How to Understand North Korea, we will focus on the method of gathering the direct information to understand North Korea's thought. And the invited lecturers will show you what they have understood with the direct information and the know-how to analyze the information. We would like to improve it as a kind of research project named as the GATE project. We want to open the gate to understand North Korean thought. The topics of today's lecture is international trade. The exact title is How North Korea Meets the World, Structure and Framework of International Trade. The lecture will introduce the data set of North Korea's international trade, which is the most reliable numerical data set related to North Korea. Because the data is officially released by the trading partner countries. North Korea government discloses some important numerical data sometimes. For example, last year, North Korea reported the voluntary national review to the UN, which includes so many numerical data of North Korea, such as real GDP per capita, annual cereal productions. The problem is that they don't release the kind of report regularly. But the international trade data set of North Korea have been reported regularly for several decades. I want to introduce you today's lecturer, Mr. Joseph Lee. Joseph Lee serves as a senior researcher at KITA, Korea International Trade Association, since 2010. In his role, he has worked for the trade-related research and promotion in various fields, including America, North Korea, global logistics. He has dedicated his research career on the trade of North Korea, contributing articles on the trade and sanction of North Korea for various institutes. And he established the statistic service on North Korea trade at KITA, which is also provided at Korean Ministry of Communications simultaneously. Joseph Lee finished the doctoral coursework in international commerce from Korea University. Mr. Lee, it's your time. Welcome, Mr.
Thank you, Dr. Kang. Can you see the slide of this? Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Joseph Lee, a senior researcher from Korea International Trade Association. Currently, I'm a visiting fellow here at Koreanische Institute an der Freie Uni Berlin. It's my true honor and pleasure taking this opportunity, sharing my knowledge on the trade of North Korea with you, my dear students and faculties. The topic of today's class is international trade of North Korea from global perspective. The reason why global perspective is that in this presentation, inter-Korean trade is included in total international trade of North Korea. Some of you might know that inter-Korean trade is not regarded as foreign trade, but domestic trade in North and South Korea according to the constitutions and law. However, both two Koreas are regarded as each independent state, which has its independent customs jurisdictions and membership of UN. So to look upon the overall external trade of North Korea, inter-Korean trade is included in total trade of North Korea in this presentation. For today's class, I prepared 3 questions for your general understanding of the international trade of North Korea. First, does North Korea trade internationally, which means does North Korea have a commercial transaction with other countries? How much and how many? Second question, what kind of items they import and export, which means what they need and what they have. Third question, how about now? What's going on? The trade of North Korea for now. We're going to look on a few major impacts on the trade of North Korea. Through the whole presentation, you will see full of numbers for the answers to these questions. I hope you to learn how to understand North Korea through numbers. In this presentation, the trade statistics. Before we get into the main contents, let me show you where you can get the trade data and how to read it shortly for you to understand better. Okay, this is the main page of Itc Trademap. Itc Trademap, which was established by UN and WTO to share the trade statistics with the public in the world, is free. You can register by email so that you can find more detailed statistics by items. As you know, some country is a member of UN but not in WTO, like North Korea. And some country is a member of WTO but not in UN, like Taiwan. So trade statistics from UN can have missing data of some countries and WTO as well. So the trade map by UN and WTO could fill the missing statistics. And you can also find the North Korean trade statistics as a reporter here. You might be wondering, North Korea as a reporter, do they report its trade statistics to UN or WTO? No, they don't. They don't report any economic index to UN. They used to. They used to report some part of it early 1990s and early 2000s, but not now. So Trademap collects the trade statistics of North Korea by mere trade method. It's quite simple, the mere trade method. It's like this. China's import from North Korea is regarded as North Korea's export. And China's export to North Korea is regarded North Korea's import from China. Like this way, they collect the trade statistics of North Korea from its member countries, which is over 100 countries every year. Mere trade method has little error due to the trade conditions between exporters and importers, like FOB and CIF, it is called Incoterms. There's some gap when export converted to import. The volume of gap depends on situations. However, normally the gap is relatively low, like 0.01% or 0.05%, something like that. So in case of North Korea, utilizing mere trade statistics is recognized appropriate. Okay, let's see how you can check the North Korean trade in Trademap. If you want to see the overall export or import of North Korea to which country, just put the name of North Korea here. With official name, you can put Korea. There might be two Koreas. North Korea is DPRK, Democratic. Okay, they say they are democratic. Korea, Democratic People's Republic here. Okay, then you just yearly time series. And you can see the import by country. So you can see by product as well. Okay, like this. This is the HS code, which is Harmonized standard code for the trade. Because word is too long, like this product label is too long, so the world trade community have agreed to make it more shorter and numeral number, which is called Harmonized standard code, which is HS code. HS has 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 digits. Up to 6 digit is globally recognized the same, but 8 digit and 10 digit, it depends on country. So now you see the 2 digit, the highest level, and then you can see 4 digit or 4 digit and 6 digit as well. Just like this. So you can check export and import of North Korea up to 6 digits in this website by timeline. Let's see the timeline, 2017, 18. You can see the whole timeline, bigger timeline like this, 20 pages, 20 years per page. See? It's quite easy. And you can see by country as well. And you can see 2007, okay, by country, the rank. And you can see the export as well, like this, and even trade balance. And if you want to see more specific data, like not the whole country, how about Germany? If you want to see how North Korea trade with Germany, just find the G right here. You see the import. For how long? 20 years, for the last 20 years, I see. See, this is the total trade value, import value from DPRK, from Germany to DPRK. So it's $10,000. So it's a million, 10 billion, 100 millions. Let's see, 2000. Okay. DPRK, the North Korea imported from Germany. What kind of items? HS84, 90, 39. But you can tell, you cannot see, just number what's the item, but there's a product label right here. 84 is what? Machinery. And 90 what? Optical, photography, it's a kind of machinery, but some optical machinery as well. And 39 is plastics, chemical plastics. You can see all like this. 85 is electronics, and 86 is a railway, trainway, locomotives, like this. It's quite easy. So you can try it after this class. But let's go back to the slide. If you are Korean, it would be much easier for you to search by Korean because KDIS has also North Korean Trade Statistics Service. You can find it right here. It's also connected to the Korean Ministry of Unification simultaneously, so you can find it very easily. It's time to move on to the main content. Please look at the graph. You can see the export volume and number of exported countries of North Korea for the last 20 years. Do you know how many countries in UN as a member state? 193. How about WTO? More? Less? More? No, less. It's 164. North Korea has exported 186 countries for the last 20 years and around 130 countries per year. 186, the number, means North Korea has experienced trade relations with almost all the UN nations. Maybe the number sounds quite surprising to you because most people think North Korea is quite closed economy, got sanctioned for a long time, much conflict with global society. That's true. Closed economy, sanction, conflict. However, in spite of that, the number 186 recorded officially. After sanction got reinforced in 2017, the number decreased. However, still over 100 nations they export, whereas the export volume decreased drastically. Okay, this graph is the import of North Korea. Please look at the number of countries. Max number is 99 in 2016, lower than exporting destinations. However, still many countries. Import volume, value was around $5 billion before 2017, now decreased by 90% to $0.5 billion. What can you see in the number of countries North Korea exported and imported? First, it's many. Might be way more than you imagined. Second, more countries in export. However, more import in terms of trade value, which means they try to focus on export However, they have to import more owing to the lack of resources, domestic resources. Now let's look on the location of North Korean trade in the world. Those graph shows top 10 exporting and importing countries in 2020. For export, China comprised almost 15% of world export. It's quite huge. Followed by USA, Germany, and South Korea took 2.9% of world export. How about North Korea? North Korea just 0.001% of world export. It's quite low, which means its presence in the world export is quite low. In import, almost same wise. However, I want you to focus more on the number of countries North Korea traded and its potentials for the future trade. Do you know how many countries in EU have populations over 20 million? How many? Just guess. Over 20 million population. How many countries? EU 20, 12? Maybe 12? No. Just 5. Just 5 countries. Which country? Germany, France, Spain, Italy? Poland. That's true. Over 20 million population, just 5 countries out of EU 27. How many population in North Korea?
North Korea.
In North Korea. Just guess. Just guess. 1 million?
Yes.
1 million?
Yeah.
No. Sorry, I'm just kidding. 25 million. 25 million. 25 is quite huge, huh?
Yeah.
And have you ever heard of gravity theory? It's one of the most frequently used research methods in the field of international economy and trade to figure out major factors influencing trade flow. There are 3 major determinant factors for trade, which are GDP, population, and distance. North Korea has relatively high population, 25 million, sharing borders with top leading economies, China, South Korea, Japan, maybe Russia. So I would like to say they have potentials forward. You might be wondering which countries North Korea has traded most. Out of 186 countries, top 10 trading countries for North Korea are China, South Korea, India, Japan, Thailand, Brazil, Russia, Germany, Singapore, and Saudi Arabia. Among the 10 countries, China, South Korea, and Japan recorded more than 10% of share in the trade of North Korea per year. Rest of countries comprise less than 5% of share in the trade of North Korea per year. With these countries, North Korea exported mostly minerals, coal, iron ore, toll processing, textile, electronics, and they imported a variety of necessities and raw materials of toll processing export goods. I will tell you more details on the items in the coming slide. Let me tell you more about top 3 trading partners of North Korea. Actually, there was comparative position in the trade of North Korea among 3 countries, China, South Korea, and Japan. Japan used to be the top trading partner for North Korea. Before, Japan imposed trade sanctions on North Korea early 2000s due to the issue. Maybe some of you know that the Japanese kidnapping by North Korea. After the sanction, North Korea trade with Japan dropped drastically, whereas the trade with China and South Korea boosted. You can see the graph right there, early 2000s. The trade between South Korea and North Korea also dropped after the May 24 measure by South Korea due to the military vessel Cheonanam got attacked by North Korea. It was in 2010. And the shutdown of Gaeseong Industrial Complex owing to the forced nuclear test by North Korea. It was in 2016. Therefore, after that, China's share in North Korea trade boosted more. Now it comprises over 90% share of North Korean trade. Now, let's see what items North Korea trade. North Korea's top 10 importing items by HS6. HS6 is what the more specific item code in trade. For the last 20 years are the crude oil, petroleum, medium petroleum, light petroleum, soybean oil, commercial vehicle. Commercial vehicle means truck for transportation, and bituminous coal, woven textile is a raw material for clothing, and iron ore, rice, and wheat. You can check the change of its top 10 import items on the slide. Import items represent the demand, what they need at that time. Let's check 2001. What is it? Rice, crude oil, tandio, petroleum, corn, iron ore, preparation, the food for the animal, and frozen beef, and methanol. How about 2010? Is petroleum, wheat, textile, more energy material imported than 2001, which represent more focus on industrial development in 2010. How about 2015? Can you see mobile here? And statuary is statue, and ceramic tiles. What do they do with the statuary and ceramic tiles? It's for interior of building or house. And mobile, according to many researchers, there are over 6 million mobile subscribers in North Korea. Top 10 importing items in 2015 represent that the demand of North Korea is more advanced compared to back in 2001 and 2010. In 2001 and 2010, major items were fuel and food, kind of basic demand for survival. But the items in 2015 show that demand is on the next level, so to speak. Let's see 2020. Based on 2015, you can imagine that the demand could move on more to the next level, like more electronics or luxuries or machineries. However, its import item list went back to the import of 2001, mostly food, because of the sanctions. So now, do you think they don't import electronics in interior materials or machineries anymore just because of sanctions? Really? It remains to be seen. As far as I know, that's true according to the statistics, but statistics is not everything. It's not perfect. However, it provides you the baseline and fundamental figure as your starting point of your research. You can develop it by field research or many other research methods. Most of the industry, here's the graph by Korea Development Bank showing the production capability of North Korea by industry. Most of the industries are quite low level compared to South Korea, especially the fundamental raw material industry, which is crucial to develop production capacity. So those are mostly needed, so they are imported from abroad. How can KDB make this graph, even though North Korea does not publish any economic index outside? Trade statistics can be one of the major sources to estimate internal industry of North Korea. You can estimate how much level of production capacity of each industry by comparing export and importing items. The value, the amount, and its change by year. Let's see the trend of top 10 import items of North Korea for the last 20 years. You can see fuel. You can see only fuel, right? It's quite high, up and down. Has been the biggest share overall, and food was the biggest in 2010. The cereal, the food in 2010. You also see the rest of items share evenly distributed, which means North Korea has a variety of needs, but export is different, not that variety. Let's check it soon. Let me sum up the import of North Korea based on the statistics for the last 20 years. Okay, first, North Korean import, mostly fuel and food, comprise the food and fuel for the last 20 years. And second, importing items share distributed relatively even compared to the export, which means their demand is on the variety. And third, since the sanction reinforced in 2017, the import share of food and raw materials of toll processing, which is non-sanctioned, increased, whereas the share of fuel, electronics, machinery dropped. So, a North Korean import, as sum up, first, fuel for production and livelihood, mostly used. And second, commercial vehicle, which is truck, and tire for coal production and export. And raw materials for toll processing. Raw material importing for what? For exporting the toll processing, the clothing, the finished goods. And electronics. You saw the importing items in 2015, the electronics, mobile, TV, computer. It had been increasing since 2010. Now let's look at the export items of North Korea. Export items represent what they have and what they can with comparative advantage. Top 10 exporting items for the last 20 years is what? It's coal. It's different coal anthracite, and iron ore, and man outer, medium petroleum, women outer, fish, nuts, transponder, magnesia, and zinc. Let's see the exporting items in 2001. You can see the goods of primary industry like agricultural and fishery products, which don't need much process to export. And also clothing as a toll process export. Some of you might not be familiar with toll processing. Toll processing export is commonly used in developing countries which don't have enough capital, technology, but low labor cost. So the importer provides whole materials to the exporter so that the exporter could conduct basic assembly to do export. Clothing and electronic circuit in the table in 2001 are the best example. Contrary to the import, export items seem to be almost same, mostly primary industrial goods like minerals, fishery, agricultural product, and toll processing product. Let's look at the year 2020. You can see many electronics, machines. You might be wondering that North Korea export electronic goods. It must be also the toll processing goods. You will see. This slide shows the North Korea's high dependency on the specific items for trade, just contrary to the import. Can you remember the import items were evenly distributed? Due to the low level of production capacity, North Korea is dependent on the minerals like coal, iron ore, and toll processing textiles for export, which have simple process utilizing just low labor cost. Textile export decreased significantly due to the shutdown of Kaesong Industrial Complex in 2016 and UN sanction in 2017. Now almost close to none to export. Mineral export also dropped severely due to the UN sanctions in 2017. Now they export non-sanctioned minerals like tungsten, molybdenum, ferrosilicon, however, not much amount. Okay, for the last part, major impact on North Korean trade recent years. There are three major issues which affected the trade of North Korea downwards. First, the shutdown of Kaesong Industrial Complex in February 2016 by South Korea after forced nuclear tests by North Korea. Inter-Korean trade recorded $2.7 billion in 2015, which is solely from Kaesong Complex, because all other inter-Korean trade was seized by May 24 measure since 2010. You can see the graph how much trade of North Korea decreased from 2015 to 2016. It's almost $2.7 billion, which is same amount value from Daesan complex in 2015. Second, the sanctions in 2017. You can see the huge decrease in trade from 2017 to 18, from $5.6 billion to $2.7 billion. Let me explain more details of sanction impact in the next slide. Third, the pandemic. Trade of North Korea was recovering slightly from the sanction. You can see the trade value from 2018 to 2019, $2.7 billion to $3.2 billion. It was recovering slightly. However, in 2020, the value dropped down to $0.7 billion. I will tell you more details in the coming slide about the impact of pandemic. Here you can see the major sanctions on North Korea with its major contents. In previous slide, I told you that sanctions before 2016 had no impact on North Korea. Would you go back to the previous slide? See the early 2006, there was North Korea's first nuclear test. What was it? UNSCR, UN Security Council's resolution, the sanction 1718. How about the trade? It went up. It soared. Let's see the second nuclear test in 2009. It was second nuclear test by North Korea. And UN did what? UN Security Council resolution 1874. What changed in trade? It soared again. It doesn't work. It didn't work. But how about the UN 2016 and 2017? It dropped. It really worked. And 2017, the effect was far more severe because it banned all the items without any exemptions. Can you go forward? Because the sanctions in 2016 and 2017, they targeted to ban major trading items of North Korea. Especially in 2017, the sanctions implemented most of items without exemptions. Sanction in 2016 also targeted major items. However, there was exemptions, which is it's okay to trade for the purpose of people's livelihood. But how can you tell? How can you distinguish which is military purpose and which is a civilian purpose? It's almost impossible. So the sanctions in 2017 banned all the major trading items of North Korea without exemptions. And as far as I know, the sanction on North Korea is the strongest one ever so far in the world. You can see all the documents on the sanction of North Korea at the webpage of UN Security Council, including the items prohibited. You can see the note at the back bottom. So here you can compare how much impact both sanction and the pandemic on the trade of North Korea. After the reinforced sanction in 2017, the trade of North Korea decreased by 52%. This huge number, considering the period just in 1 year. However, the decrease owing to the pandemic is far more, 76%. As far as I know, the number 76% is the biggest drop ever in one national trade in 1 year in the world, historically. I've never seen this kind of rapid downturn in trade in any country in any time in my career. After the outbreak of COVID-19, North Korea has closed its border since January 2020. They literally closed all the foreign transportations for a long time. Just a little trade through ships on the maritime. Here's a part of my research as an example, utilizing North Korean trade statistics. This looks quite complex, but I'm not boasting about my knowledge about this. I'm just here to see how can you utilize the numbers, reliable numbers. There are a few economic indexes of North Korea. However, most of them are estimation, which means it's hard to be recognized official number by international community. I believe for now, trade statistics of North Korea from UN and WTO is the only reliable numbers relatively so far. The statistics provide quite a wide range of countries and period and items in detail, so that you can proceed quantitative analysis utilizing economic research method. This example shows the impact of sanction on the North Korean trade. I just want to emphasize that reliable data, especially when it comes to number, is critical for quantitative analysis. It's trade statistics in North Korean area. Let me sum up the presentation with 3 answers precisely. First question was it, does North Korea trade internationally, volume and counterpart? Yes, they do. North Korea, they have imported with 186 countries for many billions of dollars per year. Still, they have trade relations with how many? Over 70 countries in spite of sanctions and pandemic, according to the statistics. Second question, what kind of items they export and import, which means demand and supply of North Korea. North Korea imports what they don't have as much as its needs, mostly necessities and fuel. North Korea exports what they have or what they can. For what? For import, because they need capital to import necessities. So what they export, mostly minerals, coal, iron ore, and toll processing products like textile mostly. What was the third question? So what's going on now? What happened? The major impact on North Korean trade recent years. The hardest time ever due to the sanction and COVID-19, which deterred North Korean trade seriously downturn. The trade volume and trade value recorded the lowest ever in its history. So, okay, this is it. Thank you for listening. This is the end of my presentation.